Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Jank It Up Fuzzball. I'm your host, Brian, aka Jank Guerrera. We are days away from the release of Spark of Hope, and all 160 cards are now spoiled all over the internet, and I'm sure if you pay attention to things like that, you've already kind of gone through them and looked at them, and you're getting super, super excited for this coming Friday's release. If you haven't seen them and you want to see them, I want to shout out the Garbage Will Do podcast. They have a photo gallery on Facebook, which contains images of all 160 cards in numerical order. So check them out. They're not the only place at this point that you can find them, but kudos to those guys for putting that together. Really, really appreciate that being there. This podcast, I wouldn't even plan on recording, honestly, but and I'm certainly not going to go over Spark of Hope spoilers. There are all kinds of podcasts for you to get that information. And that's great. And I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. It's just that you don't need my voice to chime in on that, because we're literally days away at this point from getting the set in our hands. And I hope you're excited. I'm excited. I almost feel like I haven't had enough time for Convergence, but I play at such a slower pace than most people, or than not most, but a lot of people, that I'm still wanting to play with some Convergence cards, and yet here is Spark of Hope. So we'll see how it goes. Are any of you going to be in release events? I know that's a big thing. Last time for Convergence, I went to my first ever box tournament, sealed box tournament. So you get a box of cards, you build a deck, and you see how you do. And I went 0-4, so I did not do well in my first ever box tournament. But the good news is I'm going to try it again. That's right. I'm going to go to another one this coming weekend, and hopefully I've learned a little bit. Probably not, but I'm hoping I've learned a little bit about building a team and strategy for what to do. And I hope to do better than 0-4. 1-3 would be a great improvement, but hopefully even better than that. We'll see. And I will certainly report back on how I did, because I'm sure inquiring minds want to know how a very janky player did at a somewhat competitive box tournament, but we'll see. However, in preparation for that, or just coincidentally, it's probably more honest to say, Greg and I, this past weekend, we sat down and we did our own sealed box tournament using boxes of Legacies. Now, I'm a big fan of sealed format, and I've talked about that. Greg and I do kind of draft events or sealed events very often, and I really loved the box tournaments that I did for Convergence. I thought it was super fun, and it's neat being able to sit down with 36 packs of cards, opening them up, sorting out all the stuff, and putting together a deck, right? You don't need to show up with a draft kit. You just need to show up with sleeves and a play mat and some tokens, and then you'll get the cards that you get. And I really loved it. And if you've listened to this show, you know that Greg and I have done drafts through the last couple of sets, sealed events where I do 9 packs at a time. However, many months ago, Amazon, for their deal of the day, had Legacies boxes for, I believe, $25, $26, $27, right around there, which is an amazingly good price for Legacies. And so Greg snapped it up, bought 2 boxes, and we discussed what we're going to do with it. We're going to draft through it. And then I said, hey, we should do a box draft one day, well, when we have a lull in between sets. And it'd be a lot of fun. Just sit down, you crack 36 packs each, and then you go. And that's what we did. We decided that this was a good weekend to do it. We were super excited for doing it. Now, I actually started playing Destiny right around Legacies. So I got into it with the 2-player starter set, and then Legacies was like the first set that was out when I was really playing. Now, I've bought some Awakening singles after I got into it, but I didn't play at all any of that block, really. Now, Greg got into it during Way of the Force. So Greg missed a lot of Legacies as well. So for him in particular, he was really looking forward to getting a bunch of cards that he doesn't have. Now, he's gone back and bought some singles here and there, but overall, there's still a lot of stuff available to him that he just doesn't have. And so it was fun. We came in, he came over to my house. We kind of randomly chose a box. And then he also had a spreadsheet of the legendaries and said, hey, which 6 do you hope to pick? And so we checked off our 6 that we hoped to get and see how it went. Now, Greg came over kind of early, relatively early. My son was still up, and my son also occasionally plays with me. Although I need to make some weaker decks at this point, because the decks I have, I guess this is a testament to me being better, but I'm kind of rolling my son, and that makes him angry, and that makes him not want to play. So I need to downgrade a little bit. But his enthusiasm for opening packs is strong, And so I invited him over, and he opened all 36 of my packs, which was great. And it was really, really, I'm going to go ahead and say cute. It was cute because he had a method where he opened the pack. He didn't look at the die. He would pull out the folder of cards, and then he would look at them. And instead of going straight to the rare, he would kind of look through and he would announce what each one was, and then he'd get the rare. And there was super excitement when a legendary came up, and just, for him, almost every card was exciting. And that was great. A couple of times I had to remember to fish out the die before we put it in the trash, but it was good. It was really neat to see, the whole kid at Christmas time kind of thing where you're opening pack after pack after pack. And that was a lot of fun just for me. I didn't need to open the packs, right? I'm getting the cards. So it was nice for him to do it. And also from across the table, like Greg, also like audibly excited sometimes when he pulls a card that he really wanted or he's excited to get something. It was just neat to see that. It really was a fun, I don't know how long it took, half an hour or so, maybe more. It was really fun. It was really, really great. Before we get into just Greg and my experience, I wanted to talk a little bit about just how great this event is and how I already talked a little bit about how low prep it is. You just show up. Now, it could be cost prohibitive because you're buying a box of Destiny cards, right? So if you're buying a brand new or a recent set, that's an $86 commitment. I would never encourage you to go out and say, hey, find a friend and each of you go spend $90 and then you can do this one thing where you're going to play through your box. Some of you may do that already, but we had a blast. And I'll give you all the rundown. I'll give you the what went on in just a second. But it was a really fun evening because it's sealed. You show up, you get what you get, you build something, and you play through it. Now, we weren't playing for a prize this time. We kept all our cards, and we made some trades afterwards. Of course, Greg always brings over some beer. We're having a good time. It was super fun. Now, it was like $25 a person, and that's kind of high, I guess, if you're looking for one night's entertainment. But I would just encourage you, if this is something you ever want to do, there's no reason why you can't go back and get an older box. Right now, Greg he's like kind of stalking Amazon and eBay, waiting for one of these Awakenings boxes to drop under like a $15 threshold because they're pretty low. I mean, they're really low. If I actually have Amazon pulled up right now, you can get a box of Empire War for $20 Prime. So if you're a Prime member, it would come to you for free. $20, you can get a box of cards. Now, it's not standard, so if you're only a standard player, then it doesn't interest you. But if you love the game of Destiny and you're kind of bored with playing your own cards or playing your own builds, sealed is an exciting way to mix things up. And so for $20, Greg and I didn't play through the Awakenings thing, right? So if we see that box continue to drop, what's $15, $16 for a night of entertainment and then a bunch of cards? That, yes, I mean, it's not in standard, but still, that's something we could use if we do an infinite night or something else. It's something I could let my son build around. I mean, it's great for value. And so I would encourage you, if you're a casual player, obviously, if you're a competitive player, you've probably tuned me out at this point. But if you're a casual player, look for those opportunities. Look for those shopping opportunities where you can find a box relatively cheap. Amazon right now also has Way of the Force for under $50, so that's reasonably good. It'll probably come down. It seems to sometimes dip even into the 30s. So if you watch that carefully, you can get that. Legacies are back up over 65 or so. And then the most recent sets are not come down at all. So, I mean, it'd be great. I would love to do Across the Galaxies cheap, but it hasn't ever showed up. I also look at eBay. You can get a black box on eBay for about that $30 threshold or less. Here's Spirit of Rebellion for $24.98 or $24.48 for free shipping. So that's pretty good. And I think it's a fun way to play. It is. And it takes an evening. I mean, it takes you 30 or 40 minutes to open up your packs and sort. And then you got to build a deck. So you're an hour and a half before you ever play a game. But it's just neat. If you like opening packs, then why not like doing it en masse, a whole box worth, and then building a team and going to from it. So quick aside, if you're interested in that, it piques your interest. You're like, oh, maybe I do want to shop on eBay. I haven't mentioned it in a couple of episodes. I am an affiliate with Ebates, which I've mentioned. And so if you shop online a lot, then I would ask that you take advantage of that. There's no subscription. You simply sign up, and as a user, as you shop online, they give you cash back incrementally. Usually it's pennies on a purchase. However, after you spend $25 through their system on stuff you would probably already buy for yourself, then they will give you $10 cash back. I used that, I mentioned before, to buy a couple of starter sets or towards a couple of starter sets, which was great. And so just as a reminder, if you sign up through Ebates using my affiliate link, which is ebates.com/r/bpiana, and will also be available on the website and in the show notes, then you'll be able for that offer, and then also I will get something in return as well. So if you decide to go through it and you use my affiliate link, you're supporting the podcast, which would be much appreciated. A couple of people have already signed up, and I just want to say thank you. You are going to allow me to cover the fees for Jank It Up Fuzzball. So thank you for putting up with that advertisement, but just wanted to get that out there since we are talking about finding good deals. Why not get some money back in your pockets? So back to our event from the other night. We opened up our boxes. Again, my son helped me out. And Greg, actually, in his very first pack, he pulled a legendary. I think he pulled Callus's bow rifle. So right off the bat, we got a legendary. Now, it may not be the sexiest legendary out there, but it was still neat to see a legendary pop out pretty quickly. I actually also pulled a bow rifle. So we each pulled Callus's bow rifle. That's my second. I don't think I need a play set of those, but it's a pretty nice weapon. Of course, it's Velen, but it's got some pretty aggressive sides on it. My other 5 legendaries were Kylo Ren Starfighter, Force Wave. So both of those are blue cards I didn't have, which is awesome. Dr. Aphra. Now, I had an Aphra, but I was really hoping to get a second one, and that was my last legendary, was Dr. Aphra. So that was super exciting. I got Saw Gerrera, who is another one that I really wanted just because I didn't have any, and I think it would be interesting to have. And then I also pulled a Yoda, which I think is probably the Chase legendary. I have 3 Yodas now, which is a good problem to have. Maybe I'll trade it away. I know Greg's interested in it, but at the same time, he admits to not having equitable trade offers for what might that be. But those are my 6 legendaries. 3 of those were on my list that I checked beforehand, and that's good, right? So there's 17 legendaries in a set. I hope to pull a certain 6, just my wish list, and I got 3 of those. That's batting pretty well. On to Greg. Greg also checked off 6 legendaries that he wanted, and he also got 3 from his list, which is exciting. So he got Bow Rifle, which I told you about. He got Grand Moff, which is a nice, it's a 4 cost, but it's a nice title. I've used it before. I think my very first episode, which I encourage you to never, ever go back and listen to, I talked about running Hex with some troopers and using Grand Moff there. So that's fine, but he pulled that, and that's one he really wanted. He pulled Maul's lightsaber, which is pretty cool. Quick story about that. Greg recently had a birthday, and what do 2 Destiny friends do for each other on their birthday? Well, they buy them Destiny cards, I'm assuming. Who knows? For his birthday, I bought Greg Darth Vader's lightsaber. Because why wouldn't you want to give your friend more weapons to beat you over the head with? But, Greg has Elite Vader. He has some really mean blue villain weapons, but he didn't have Vader's lightsaber, and so just as a gesture of friendship, I bought him that. And then I gave it to him on Saturday. And so in the same evening, he pulls Maul's lightsaber. So, yeah, it'd be good times for me, right? Man, that Kylo Dooku deck of his is going to bring some pain, I have a feeling. He also pulled Maul. So he pulled his first Maul. So I have Elite Maul already, but he pulled Maul. He pulled Greedo, which was one from my wish list, but he's also the Vader player, so maybe that makes sense. And lastly, he pulled the Pirate Speeder Tank. I would have loved to have had the Pirate Speeder Tank as well, but Greg got it. Greg got 3 from his list. Good times. I'm glad personally that I got the box I did, because I already have 4 of the legendaries that Greg pulled, so I would have been a little bit bummed. Now, I know I already have 3 of the legendaries that I pulled, but I can use a second Aphra where I can't use the 3rd Maul, and so forth. But those are legendaries. However, Greg made up for it, I feel like, on the other cards, because one of the characters we were both kind of chasing that neither one of us have any of is Ayla. And now that she's been brought back down, we both want an Ayla. We've held off intentionally from purchasing Ayla because we know we have these 2 boxes to open. And Greg was the only one that pulled an Ayla. So good for Greg. He also pulled not 1, but 2 battle droids, which is kind of crazy. And just some other stuff. He pulled a Talzin, which he really wanted. We each pulled, I pulled a Talzin as well. We each pulled a Kallus. I pulled 2 clone troopers, and I pulled a battle droid of my own. And I pulled 2 Obi-Wan Jedi Masters. So I actually had Elite Obi-Wan Jedi Master if I wanted to. and Greg pulled 2 Hondos and 2 Wedge. So in terms of a box tournament, trying to put a team together, he could have run Elite Hondo or Elite Wedge. Neither of us ran an Elite character, so it didn't matter so much, but it was nice to see that. It's a possibility. Real quickly, moving on to once we opened our packs and we sorted all of our cards and we got that second beard and we kind of figured out what we were doing, we settled on some teams. I ran Yoda, I ran Saw Gerrera, and I ran Rose at the start. So that's 30 character points and it's 30 health. And it's rainbow, so I could get any cards I wanted in there, which I was happy with. And I got Rose, even though I wasn't running anything where I would need to repair a vehicle, she would help me generate money. And she had a special, so I could special chain into that from Yoda. That was my thinking anyway. Greg pieced together a team which was also 30 health. I think it was 29 points, but it was Ayla, 2 battle droids, and the Jedha Partisan. So he also ran Rainbow, but he had 4 characters, and he had 30 health just like me. We each ran the Citadel landing zone, and if you're not familiar with that, that is on Scarif, and its claim ability is reroll any number of your dice, then you may resolve one of your dice. So we both ran that. Greg won the roll-off on the first game, and he decided to, since we both had the same battlefield, he decided to just take the shields, so that gave him 32 health, and I got to start. And that would be important, really, to know, because it was a really, really close game. But with the battlefield, I got off on a quick start. I played Mortar Team, and Mortar Team is a 2-cost support, and it has a lot of indirect damage. And if you have the battlefield, you can resolve this. You can resolve indirect damage as if it was ranged. So that first turn, I immediately I rolled hot. I rolled hot all game with this card, and 2 indirect, 2 indirect, 2 indirect. And if I had the battlefield that turn, I would plug it into Ayla. So real quickly, the first game was super close. It was a lot of fun. He had me down to 1 health, and I had him down to 1 health. I had Yoda with 1. He had Ayla with 1. We were getting down to the end of a round. He had Ayla's die in the pool, and I think it was a blank or it was something that wasn't anything good. It was his action, and he claimed to re-roll his die. And he re-rolled Ayla, and she came up 2 sticks, and that was game. So even though I had Ayla down to a single health, he won on the claim ability, which was awesome. It was painful for me, but it was really, really good. And those 2 shields at the very beginning of the game, you think about it. I mean, it was that close of a game. It was pretty tough. After that first game, I decided that Rose wasn't giving me enough offense. I mean, she does have 1 damage side, but not nearly enough. And so I swapped Rose out for a Clone Trooper. Had I had the Clone Trooper out there from the beginning, maybe that first game goes a little differently, but that is okay. The Clone Trooper also helped me out because I quickly realized that most of the damage from my deck, Yoda has no damage sides, Saw has some indirect, and then Rose had some indirect. And then a lot of my supports that I was playing, such as Mortar Team, Lookout Post, Ground Battalion, a lot of that is indirect. So I was throwing a whole bunch of indirect, but Greg, running 4 wide, could kind of pick and choose where it went. And so I really needed some more direct damage. So the Clone Trooper gave me at least a little bit of that. It's just funny. Legacies, right? I don't know if you've thought about it. You've played a whole bunch of it, but that's the set where they introduced indirect damage, and so it's all over these cards, and it was fun, right? Indirect's part of the game now, but it was interesting to see it, playing it in a very limited format. A whole bunch of it was indirect, at least on my side, and the Jedha Partisan has indirect, or whenever you resolve indirect damage for the first time each round, because of the Partisan, an opponent discards the top card of their deck, which is always annoying. So I love playing the Partisan, but I think this was Greg's first time playing the Partisan. And so I had to lose some good cards along the way, which was too bad. After that first game, we swapped out some cards. I think Greg swapped out, even with the win, he swapped out 6 or 7 or 8 cards. I swapped out a few, and I swapped out the character. Second game, I won, but it was still another close game. But I got down Force Wave on Yoda and just started wrecking face, right? I mean, with Yoda, you could special chain into that Force Wave special, and it costs a resource, but if I have the Yoda special, I can get a resource and then turn that die and then resolve that as terms of special chaining, and that would do it. So that hits 1 character for 3, 1 character for 2, and 1 character for 1. So oftentimes I could use that to kill off a half-wounded battle droid and then plug 2 into someone else and then 1 into someone else. But it was super close. I think what happened in the last round of the game and successive actions on my part. I special chained and I did the force wave. And so I threw 6 kind of direct damage spread over 3 characters. And then Greg took an action. And then my second action, I resolved a Saw Gerrera die that was 3 indirect, along with a +3 indirect from the lookout post. And so I hit 6 more indirect damage at that. So in 2 actions, or in 2 turns, I hit Greg for 12 damage, which was really good. That kind of sealed the deal. So I took game 2. Thanks to that. That was great. Game 3 started off where I got force wave down turn 1, which was awesome. But I couldn't do much more after that. And I'm not making excuses, but Greg rolled amazingly well. Like, his battle droids rolled damage a lot, and Partisan rolled damage, and Ayla rolled damage. He just rolled really well, and that made it really difficult. I didn't get as much help as I needed. I didn't get any of the cool supports out, and it was going to be a super fast game because Saw went down, Clone Trooper went down, and it was just Yoda with Force Wave. I got a few more things out, and I made a comeback, and I believe I took out at least one of his battle droids and nearly mortally wounded the second one, but then he finally put me away. It was the least exciting of the 3 games, but it was still fun. The MVP of the night, however, was a card I haven't even mentioned, and that was Strength in Numbers. If you're unfamiliar with Strength in Numbers, it's a 2-cost neutral event. It says deal indirect damage to an opponent equal to the number of exhausted characters you have. Now, I drew 2 of these in my box, but I didn't play it. But Greg drew 3 of these in his box, and he had a 4-wide team, and he put 3 of these in his deck. I got hit a lot with this card, at least 4 times over the night, including twice in that final game where he would, at the end of a round, he would have 4 exhausted characters and just throw 4 indirect damage into me. And it was brutal. What can you say? It was really, really tough because I don't have a whole lot to absorb that. All told, super fun night. I love Sealed. I really do, because it takes the pressure off agonizing over a deck or wondering what your card 27, 28, 29, or 30 is, right? You're not doing that. You're still agonizing a bit in the moment trying to build, but there's still not that long-term pressure that's just kind of mounting and mounting over days or weeks. You don't have the time to think about it. You're like, give me a character team. Let's go through all the cards. What's useful? Give me some dice cards. Give me some mitigation. What are we going to do? What's the strategy here? What's the goal? And just play it out. And that is so much fun for me. It's just so much fun. Getting the cards, being able to keep all the cards, getting 6 new legendaries that are still in standard, that are viable, is a bonus. And so for getting all of that for $25, it's a huge bargain for me. Now, would I go out and buy an $80 box tomorrow and do it again with Greg? No. I am going to buy a box to do it in a few days, this weekend for Spark of Hope. But that's okay. That's 3 times a year, right? I mean, that's a special occasion. We'll do that. But I would love to do more of these again. And I think the idea of waiting for those Awakenings boxes to drop down in price and then snatching those up for like under $20, that's a fun evening. And if you get 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 friends together, having a box, regardless of what set it is, allows you the ability to draft from it using 6 packs per player, going sealed using 8 packs per player, or what Greg and I do, 9 packs per player. Or if each person can grab their own box, that's a night's worth of entertainment, which is just, I think, super fun. It's the kind of way I like to play. I love standard. I love building as well. But sealed, there's something that's just really exciting about the unknown. When you sit down, you open that box or you open that product, whatever it is, and then trying to put something together, it's just really fun. And I enjoy that a whole lot. And so I wasn't planning on podcasting this week. I was going to wait until after Spark of Hope drops, but I thought, you know what, there's going to be a whole bunch of Spark of Hope conversation, and if anyone was looking for something different, I thought I would talk about Legacies and talk about some of those cards. These cards are going to rotate out. They'll be they're going to be gone in 6 or 7 months, but they're still viable right now. And so getting them at that price, having some fun with them, all these new cards I can build decks around. And sure enough, after we were done with our 3 games, we made trades, which was great. We just sat there, probably had another beer, and traded things out. I already have Elite Talzin, so I gave him his second Talzin, and he gave me his Callus. So I suddenly have Elite Callus, which is now a trooper. It's someone I want to build around, but I didn't have any until the other night. So that's good. I traded him a Canto Blight pistol for Bib Fortuna. You're like, why would you do that? Well, I have one Bib Fortuna, and now I have Elite. So, I like playing Jabba, or if I'm crazy enough, I'm going to pair him with Palp Unlimited Power, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. But it was nice. And so I now have Elite Jar Jar, and I have all these other things that I didn't have. Now, I also have like 2,000 copies of certain cards now, right? That's just part of it. But that's okay. I have lots of copies of cards, and that's fine. So it was super fun. If you ever have an opportunity to do it, I would encourage you to do it. The other reason, selfishly, that I wanted to record before Friday is that I wanted to crack a pack. I still have a pack of Convergence here, and so this is hopefully the last Convergence pack I will crack as part of the show. My plan for the box tournament, by the way, is I'm going to leave one pack in the box, no matter what, because when I record the next episode talking about my experience, I want to have a Spark of Hope pack to crack. Last time I didn't do that, and so I had to open an Across the Galaxies pack, and it just felt weird, right? It just felt off topic. So I'm going to make sure I fix that. But here in my hand is Convergence. I hope it's not yellow, because I have a lot of yellow, right? But we'll see. There are still some cards in Convergence that I would love to have. I won't even cry if it's Crime Lord. It'd be a legendary, which we haven't seen yet, and I'm not hopeful, but we'll see. So let's get to it. Let's go ahead and open this up, see what we got. It is yellow. It is not a legendary, but it is not Skill Tracker. So let's talk about this. All right, it is the Ordnance Launcher. It is a 3-cost neutral upgrade weapon. It has Ambush. After you resolve a Scoundrel die, you may resolve this die as if it did not have a modifier. And that's important because the die sides are +1 range, +2 range, +3 range, +1 discard, +2 shield, +1 resource. It's a whole column of blue. Every side on here is a modifier. But again, after you resolve a Scoundrel die, you may resolve this die as if it did not have a modifier. So it's a little bit of action cheating. So if you just resolve any other Scoundrel die for anything, you can then resolve this die as if it did not have a modifier on there. It's 3 costs, so it's a little expensive, but it's good. This is my second copy. I'm actually pretty happy to have 2 copies of this because money is still not that hard to come by. And Scoundrel is going to be here. So I'm okay with that. Let's see, the uncommon. Here we go. It's a battlefield. It's Watto's Shop on Tatooine, the uncommon. Watto's Shop. Claim ability. Discard one of your supports or upgrades from play to gain resources equal to its cost. So if you're in a pinch and you need some money heading into the next round, then you can pitch a support or upgrade and you will basically get your money back, but you lose that. So in this case, if I play Ordnance Launcher, I get some value out of that, but I know I have something bigger and better to play next round. I could claim and I could get that $3 back. Who am I kidding? I'm probably never playing Watto's Shop. That's, I don't know. If you've had success with Watto's Shop, or if you actually know of a deck that this is meaningful in, let me know. I'm curious. It's one of those battlefields that's just a little strange, but I guess if you're playing high-costed things that somehow you don't want to stay on the board, you can do that. Or if you have a character that has like a non-redeployable weapon on it, and before they die, you want to go ahead and at least get some value out of that, I suppose that's also a practical use. But that's our uncommon. It's a battlefield. Here are our 3 common cards in this pack. The first one is pretty popular if you're a middle player. It's No Answer, a 1-cost neutral event. Discard a random card from an opponent's hand. If that opponent has no cards in hand, discard the top 3 cards of their deck. Now, this card has since been errata. So, what it now reads is discard a random card from an opponent's hand. Then, if an opponent has no cards in hand, discard the top 3 cards of the deck. So you can't play this just to force a cardless opponent to discard. You have to play this, and basically the immediate value is that they will lose a random card, and if that's their last card, then you get the additional bonus of having them discard the top 3 cards of their deck. That is No Answer, with General Organa on the artwork. Next up is Isolation. This is a reprint from the Awakenings block. It is a 1-cost villain event. Spot a blue character to remove a character dice. So, it's removal, which you like, and it's 1 cost. There's better, cheaper removal, but overall, 1 cost for 1 die is okay. But you have to spot a blue character, and it only removes a character die. So it is limiting in how you can play it and what you can play it on. And lastly, we have a downgrade. It is a downgrade injury. It is wounded. It is neutral, 1 cost. Attached character has -1 health. And I love the flavor text. It's just a flesh wound.
And you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look, just a flesh wound.
Ah, such a good movie. Anytime I see or hear flesh wound, I think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is a fantastic movie for sure. So there you go. The 3 commons were no answer, isolation, and wounded. And the uncommon was Watto Shop, and the rare, yellow yet again, Ordnance Launcher. This means officially I have revealed or opened 9 yellow cards out of 18 episodes. So half of my bounty from cracking packs on Jank It Up Fuzzball have been yellow cards. I don't know what that says about me. I don't play yellow overly often, but I might have to do that. So, hey, thank you for listening. For all of those that do, I try to bring up different things than what the more competitive shows do. And I thank you for listening, because whether you're a competitive player or a casual player, I hope you get some entertainment, some value out of this. Please follow along on Facebook. I mentioned that. Also on Twitter. Last week on Twitter, I also posted images of 3 updated alt art designs I've made, and I've sent off to the printer. Those are designed and drawn by me in Photoshop, and they are alt art. So they are, of course, Star Wars intellectual property, so I can't sell them, and it's unethical to do so. But I am going to hopefully open up a pseudo shop where I'm going to be making Jank It Up Fuzzball merchandise available, and I want to give these alt art cards away for those supporters that want to buy some stickers or magnets or coasters, or in other ways. We'll figure out something else. But the alt art is fun for me to do, and it's fun to make, and I look forward to getting them in the hands of people that appreciate and like Jank It Up Fuzzball. So there will be opportunities in the coming weeks and months. If you're interested in that, I will have more details coming up. But you can see the art now. If you go to Twitter, at Jank It Up, it'll be there. Hey, I wish you all the best of luck with your cracking packs and cracking boxes of Spark of Hope. I am about to release an article in the next couple of days with a link to a new box survey for Spark of Hope. We did one for Convergence. We're going to redo it for Spark of Hope. So be on the lookout for that. I really would appreciate it if you can take the time and you want to participate, then go ahead and fill out your 6 legendary pulls from your boxes. That would be awesome. And I will do the same. And then Greg and I will eventually parse through the data, and then we'll have conversations about it, which is awesome. Okay. Wow. Squeezed one in right before Spark of Hope. I hope you get what you want in your pools, and we'll see. Next time I talk to you, I'll be hopefully recapping a successful box tourney draft of my own, or sealed box event of my own, but we'll see how it goes. So do me a favor. In these last few days before Spark of Hope, play some Jank, roll some dice, have some fun. We'll talk to you soon.